Gun Shalom Akim, one give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakab Qadash, double honors to the other apostles of great Millstone who teach and rule well, and Shalom to the sinister Akim, spreading truth and sincerity. Shalom. Yesterday, a Dutch article was sent towards me concerning beards being dirtier than dogs. So it wasn't my spirit to go into that because I really felt like, that's some propaganda to demonize the beards. Because we, according to the scriptures, those that are in the truth know that a man is supposed to have a beard upon his face. Um, so for me, it was not logical that, there would be so many, bacteria and germs on the beard. Meanwhile, it would not be in the hair that's upon our head. So that was the first thing that came in my mind. And I really want to call out this BS basically, because through the spirit, it's just demonizing the righteousness, that it has, to have a beard. And I looked up, an English version of the same article that I read yesterday in Dutch, and this is that article, and it says, "Are beards dirtier than dogs? Significantly more germs hide in men's beards. Study find." Meanwhile, we wash our hairs, in our beards on a daily basis. These dogs don't. So where's the logic in that, first and foremost? So let's watch this video on the article.
He may look like a dapper Dan, but a new study finds beards could contain more germs than Fido's fur. In fact, the Mail on Sunday reports every one of the 18 beards sampled for the study was crawling with bacteria, with nearly half of the beards containing bugs hazardous to human health. Professor Dumbledore might want to drink an elixir. Meanwhile, several of the dogs that were tested were found to have lower levels of microbes. Using an MRI scanner, scientists from Switzerland's Hirschlanden Clinic found all of the bearded men showed high microbial counts, while only 23 of the 30 dogs tested had high counts. Even worse, 7 of the men were found to have microbes dangerous to their health, all nestled in their beards. The Beard Liberation Front pushing back, telling the paper the negative news is just another case of paganophobia, or fear of beards. But if you do believe the study, perhaps a good addition to the morning routine would be to look at those microbes squarely in the mirror and put on your best Gandalf impression.
You shall not pass!
So it says, man's best friend might have a thing or two to teach us about cleanliness, which referring to the dog. Supposing that the dog is more clean than our beard. The beards covering men's faces hide significantly higher amounts of bacteria than found on dogs, a recent study suggests. The research, published on February in the peer-reviewed journal European Radiology, compared bacteria samples from 18 hairy men with those from 30 dogs, including border collies, dachshunds, and German shepherds. And this article is from 2000 and yeah, it mentioned the date when I opened it myself on my phone, but it's from a couple of years ago. Let me see. It's over here, 2019. So yeah, it's from almost 3 years ago. So yeah, it says 20. It says the conclusion: on the basis of these findings, dogs can be considered as clean compared with bearded men. The Switzerland-based research noted 23 of the 30 dogs showed high microbial counts. All 18 of the bearded men did. Disease-causing bacteria showed up more frequently on the beards. 2, including bugs causing urinary tract infections, though that difference was not deemed significant. They're really, make it seem to be that the beard is a place of microbes and bacteria and you know infested with the disease causing substances. Researchers took bacterial samples from the dog's neck between the shoulder blades, which veterinarians suggest is particularly unhygienic and where most canine skin infections occur. The study says the dogs were 3 months to 13 years in age. The man ages 18 to 76 gave samples from beard hair below the mouth. Researchers noted the length of each beard by gently pulling the beard hair and measuring the length in centimeters with a ruler. So they say that they gave the samples of the beard hair below the mouth, which is like this region. That would be the same as taking samples from the region upon the dog's face. You see. So first and foremost, that study is not done correctly because the the bacteria that might come here also could be found in the mouth. Meanwhile, there was no study done on who has a cleaner mouth. But what is being done is the beard, which is a symbol of manliness, a symbol of you know um, keeping the laws of Bahasham Yahawashi, is being compared, with with the dog, and to be particular and specific about it, the hair, in his neck, basically. Makes no sense. It says the beards of men harbor significantly more microbes than the neck fur of dogs, and these microbes were significantly more pathogenic to humans per the study. Because if they would test, the region around the dog's face, then they would come into, all kind of microbes and bacteria. Because what does a dog do? It cleans itself with its lips, you know. It washes its own penis, it sniffs, the other dogs, behind, where also E. coli and other things, might be there. A dog has a natural dripper, you see. So that will be something that will be shown in these results as well. So saying that the beard of a man is more nasty than the hair of a dog, which they measured on the back of its neck, makes no sense. You know what they're doing is they're really demonizing having a beard. Oh, it says authors acknowledge limitations of the study. A limitation is actually says boundary limit. It fixes and limits the period within an action must be brought. Mm, says threshold. Hmm. It says a limiting rule, condition, restriction, a shortcoming or defect. And one of the shortcomings that I already mentioned is the fact that they, took two different regions, and compared them to each other. Of course, I don't know what kind of bacteria that might come in this region of the mouth with the foods, we consume and the drinks we drink, etc. You know, but to compare these two things with each other is weird, man. You know, I wash my beard, on a daily basis. You know, so people also always came to me, yeah, you know, how many times a week do you wash your beard? because they be like, yeah, it looks kind of scruffy, it doesn't look very uh, tidy or like neat, you know. But this is the structure of my beard, man. There are brothers in this truth that have beards as if they're lined up. You know, they have beards as if they're lined up, and they just have that natural a beard like that. Which being lined up is also something that the Bible speaks against, because we're not supposed to make lineups. Not on the beard and not on our the hairs, on our head, like over here. you know, Reading on. So it says authors acknowledge limitations of the study, including its size. They said similar research could be done with hair samples from women's heads, which could carry just as much bacteria as men's beards. And I haven't even gone into the whole article, before I went to make this video, but this is something that through the spirit, came out in the article itself. It says the research, which occurred at three radiology departments in Europe, arose from technological questions. Only a few veterinary clinics in the continent had MRI scanners reserved solely for animals, the author said, prompting a question. Is it safe for dogs and humans to use the same MRI machine? That prompted the study from Switzerland's Hirsland Clinic, which, in addition to examining beards, tested the cleanliness of MRIs used by both dogs and men. The study conclusion: dogs are no risk to humans if they use the same MRI. You see, it's funny that these things came out as well, you know, before even reading about it. So through the spirit. So I really felt like, it's propaganda. And if you go into the word propaganda, it says here material or information propagated to advance a cause, and the cause that it's propagating, or they say it like that, that it's trying to achieve, is for, first and foremost, our nation, the nation of Israel, to be specific, demand, you know, not to shave their beards. Because if you go to Psalms chapter 147, verse 19, it says, He showed His word unto Jacob, His statutes and His judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for its judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord Yahawah. To the Most High He gave His laws, His statutes, commandments unto the nation of Israel, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but also those that were scattered among the heathen nations that might look like the heathen nations, but whose lineage does go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob according to their father's seed line. The Most High also says that He has not dealt so with any other nation upon this earth. So these other nations, they don't know Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and His judgments, and His righteousness. You see, but we, as His people, the nation of Israel, we are supposed to walk in His laws, statutes, commandments, to the best of our abilities. You see, especially in this day and age, because we have been given the grace and mercy through our Lord Yahawashi. You see, so we understand that we are not able to keep the laws perfectly. If that was the case, then there would be no need for Yahawashi to have come to redeem us from our sins. You see, so we understand that, and we don't try to be saved through the law, but by the faith that we have in Yahawashi. But by the faith that we have, we also try to apply the laws and commandments to the best of our abilities, because with faith, comes the work. Because you show forth your faith by the works that you perform for the Heavenly Father, which one of those things that are easily, to keep for a man, is keeping a beard on his face. You see, so I really felt like this article was really, trying to portray the image of a beard is something that you don't want to walk around with because it's nasty and dirty, and etc. etc. So before going on with the scriptures themselves, I want to read a little bit concerning the history on beards because back in ancient days, it was a custom for certain nations, you know, to have beards upon their face. Other nations did not have beards upon their face, but we understand through the scriptures that we as a man are supposed to have a beard. Whether you're able to grow full beard like me, whether you're able to grow half a beard, that already look naturally lined up, or whether you only have a couple of hairs on your face. You see, we as men, from the nation of Israel, we are supposed to have a beard on our face, not have it lined up. So this is the ancient and classical world. Lebanon, the ancient Semitic civilization situated on the western coastal part of the Fertile Crescent and centered on the coastline of modern Lebanon, gave great attention to the hair and beard. Where the beard was mostly a strong resemblance of the affected by the Assyrians and familiar to us from their sculptures, it arranged in 3, 4, and 5 rows of small tight curls, and extends from ear to ear round to the cheek and chin. Sometimes, however, in lieu of the many rows, we find one row only, the beard falling in tresses, which are curled at the extremity. There is no indication of the Phoenicians having cultivated mustachios. Don't want to go too much into who these people are, but back in the ancient times, you know, they had beards. This concerning the nation of Israel. Um, it says Israelite society placed especial importance on the beard. Many religious male figures are recorded to have had facial hair. For example, numerous prophets mentioned in Tanakh were known to grow beards. The Torah forbids certain shaving practices altogether. In particular, Leviticus 19 verse 27 states, "You shall not round the sides of the sides growth on your head, or destroy the side growth of your beard," which is a translation, which that actual translation is Leviticus 19 verse 27, "You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall thou mar the corners of thy beard." So you're not supposed to make lineups, on your hair, like this, that go all the way to the skin. You see, we're not supposed to do that because if you go into the word mar, which is shahat, it says to destroy, corrupt, go to ruin. Um, which goes into taking away, the hair, um, on your cheeks like this, and lining it up over here. We're not supposed to do that, man. We're not supposed to line up our beards or line up our hair. Another scripture is Leviticus 21 and 5. It says, "They shall not make baldness upon their heads, neither shall they shave the corners of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh." And people might say, this is relating to the priests, but we also understand that we have been made, kingdom of kings and priests. One example is Exodus chapter 19, verse 6, where it says, "And ye should be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel." There are more scriptures on that. Revelation 1, through the Lord Yahawashi, we shall be made, um, kings and priests. Revelation 1 and 6, "And hath made us kings and priests unto the Most High, and his Father, to him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen." You see, so we as the nation of Israel, we are, a kingdom of kings and priests. Are we kings yet? No, we're not. But when the Lord Yahawashi comes back, we shall be. Um, Reading on, it says the Mishnah, which is I'm not even going to read this because this is concerning these gutter rats. Um, it says, according to biblical scholars, the shaving of hair, particularly of the corners of the beard, was originally a mourning custom. The behavior appears from the book of Jeremiah to also have been practiced by other Semitic tribes, although some ancient manuscripts of the text read live in remote places rather than clip the corners of the hair. So this is translation. The biblical scholars think that the regulations against shaving hair may be an attack on the practice. Uh, this is just things that they think, biblical scholars. But the point, going back to Leviticus 21:5, it says they should not make baldness upon their head. So we're not supposed to shave our head bald. Make these lineups. Like this. And I'm um, repeating myself, but it can be stressed enough because even these simple instructions, there are some hard-headed jakes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that are still struggling with keeping these laws, man. We're not supposed to do this, this all the way to the to the skin. When I go to the barber, when it's been a while for me as well, because I want to grow my beard a bit longer, and right now I just clip my beard with a trimmer. But when I used to go there and he fixed up my hair, I always was checking and making sure that he didn't went through the skin. Afterwards, you put alcohol in there, and if it did not burn, I was like, okay, you did a good job. You know. See, these are the things that we're actually not allowed to do. You know. Reading on in the historical part, Mesopotamia says Sumerian, Assyrians, Babylonians, Chaldeans, and Medians devoted great care to oiling and dressing their beards, using tongs and curling irons to create elaborate ringlets and beard patterns. Egypt, the highest ranking ancient Egyptians grew hair on their chins, which was often dyed with henna, reddish brown, and sometimes plaited with interwoven golden thread. A made of false beard, pastiche, which was a sign of sovereignty, which this is a wig, was worn by queens and kings. This was held in place by a ribbon tied over the head and attached to a golden chin strap. Thus, in ancient India, the beard was allowed to grow long, a symbol of dignity and wisdom. The nations in the East generally treated their beards with great care and veneration, and the punishment for licentiousness and adultery was to have the beard of the offended parties publicly cut off. They had such a sacred regard for the preservation of the beards that a man might pledge it for the payment of a debt. Concerning China, Iran, um, let's read a couple of things concerning Macedon and Rome. It says Macedon in ancient Macedonia. During the time of Alexander the Great, the custom of smooth shaving was introduced. We understand through the scriptures that Alexander the Great was the first king of the Greek kingdom. It says that during his time, the custom of smooth shaving was really introduced there. Alexander strongly promoted shaving during his reign because he believed it looked tidier, looked more neat. We also understand that Alexander the Creep, he was an Edomite. Right now, we're living under the rulership of the Edomites as well. The revived Roman Empire. So we see that that spirit is coming back that they had back then, and it's really pushed right now as well. Reportedly, Alexander ordered his soldiers to be clean shaven, fearing that their beards would serve as as handles for their enemies to grab and to hold the soldier as he was killed. The practice of shaving spread from the Macedonians, whose kings are represented on coins, etc., with smooth faces. So they try to put there some little bit of advertisement. Right now you have advertisements on your phone. You see it everywhere where you go. On billboards. When you go to the bus, you see it over there, the metro. I don't know how these things were back then, but money was something that was used. Just as right now. So the money was handled from person to person. So if you would put a king, someone that the people so called look up to, you know, then they see it as something to strive for as well. You know, because the kings that we're so called serving right now, they're not those are not our those are not really our kings, man. You know, we have Yahawah, we have Yahawashi. We have had our uh, 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 our kings. King David, King Solomon. That were from our own nation. You know, but these other nations. They also had their leaders, man. And during the time of Alexander the Great, when he was in rulership, for a short time, the 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 faces that were on the coins, you know, was a way to spread that custom. Like I said, like advertisement. It says laws were passed against it without effect at Rhodes and Byzantium, and even Aristotle confirmed to the new custom. Unlike other philosophers who retained the beard as a badge of their profession, a man with a beard after the Macedonian period implied a philosopher, and here are many allusions to the customs of the later philosophers in such proverbs. The beard does not make the sage. Due to his association with philosophers, who lost reputation over time, the beard acquired more and more negative connotation, as in Theodore Promodus, Prodromos, Lucian of Samosata, Julian the Apostate. So it really got a negative connotation, negative aspect towards having a beard. Rome, shaving seems to not have been known to the Romans during their early history under the kings of Rome and the early republic. Pliny tells us that P. Licinius was the first who brought the barber to Rome, which was in 454th year from the founding of the city, that is around 299 BCE. Scipio Africanus, of which the continent of Africa got its name, you see, can go into that a little bit yourself, was apparently the first among the Romans who shaved his beard. However, after that point, shaving seems to have caught on very quickly, and soon almost all Roman men were clean shaven. Being clean shaven became a sign of being Roman and not Greek. Only in the latter times of the Republic did the Roman youth begin shaving their beards only partially, no lining up, trimming it into an ornamental form. Prepubescent boys oiled their chins in hopes of forcing premature growth of a beard. Still, beards remained rare among the Romans throughout the late Republic and the early Principate. In a general way, in Rome at this time, a long beard was considered a mark of slovenliness and squalor. The censor L. Veturius and P. Licinius compelled M. Livius, who had been banished. So there's a little bit of history concerning that. Yeah, man. I want to bring out one more thing because I spoke about, the kings and how Alexander the Great, you know, put the how the kings of the Macedonians, which we understand Alexander the Great was the first to rule over Greece. So once he established his kingdom, that was the Greek Empire, and those that came after him, put their faces on the coins, and through that way, the custom was spread. But if we go to Revelation, again, where's Revelation? Here, 1. You understand that the Lord Yahawashi, he had a beard as well. Because Yahawashi, he was perfect. He kept the last commandments as well. Let me see. This is Revelation chapter 1 and 14. And his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So the hairs upon Yahawashi's head were white like wool, as white as snow. And when we present a description of what he looks like, this is what he looks like, with the understanding that we have according to the scriptures. Him having a beard, it's white, it's woolly, it has I say that in Dutch we say krusar, but it's like yeah, it's hair like wool, like sheep, you know. So Yahawashi is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And he is a king that we should after whose image we should strive, to accomplish, man. Both in appearance with having the beard, but also in our ways, man. So yeah, there was red. One point that I want to make again is right now we live in the revived Roman Empire. The Edomites rule again, so their custom of shaving the beards, through the Spirit came back, because as it says in Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, the thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there's no new thing under the sun, meaning that history repeats itself. So the way that they were during their time in ancient Rome and during the Greek Empire that was established, after the reign of Alexander the Great under the rulership of the Edomites, those same traits come back in this day and age, being the revived Roman Empire. And why do I say, the Greek Empire after the establishment of Alexander the Great is because the actual Grecians were the Japhetic people, but Esau came in and took over their customs, and then proclaimed himself to be the original people of Greece. This is 2 Samuel chapter 10, starting at verse 1, and this is going into the account how the servants of King David were shaven and were highly ashamed. So it was actually a shame, to have your beard shaven or to not have it. This is 2 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 1. And it came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, and his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the prince of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun their lord, Thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father, that he has sent comforters unto thee? Hath not David already sent his servants unto thee to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it? So the servants of the king of the children of Ammon, Hanun, his servants, you know, um, whispered in his ear like, we don't think that King David is sending his servants to comfort you, but he's coming with a you know with an other motive, to secretly spy out certain things. Verse 4: Wherefore Hanun took David's servants and shaved off the one half of their beards, and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, Tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return. So through these scriptures, we understand that back in those days, it was a shame for your beard to be shaven. So David told his servants, come back when your beard is grown, when it's representable again. This is on the Bible truth, and it's concerning the beard cut off that we just read. It says, according to Oriental sentiment, a greater indignity could not have been put upon them, upon the servants. The beard is considered a symbol of manhood, and in some places of freedom. Freedom slaves being compelled to shave their beards in token of servitude. So it means, when that means that when someone has had his beard shaven, he's basically put into submission. By shaving half their beard, Hanun not only treated David's ambassadors with contempt, but made them objects of ridicule. The beard is usually kept with care and neatness, and thus when David feigned madness in the presence of Achish, king of Gath, it's going to something else, but the point is that it's a shame to have your beard shaven. It's a symbol of manhood, and what I really felt, with this article is that they try to demonize, having a beard. So what I pray, and hope that through the Spirit, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of great Millstone who teach and rule well, and shalom to the sincere Akim, who truth and sincerity. Shalom.